Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Ahead of today's Security Council session, Israel's ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, will deliver a brief statement about the UNRWA legislation coming into effect in Israel at the end of the month. He will take your questions afterwards. If you do have a question, please remember to state your name and news outlet. Thank you.
Good morning. I hereby inform the United Nations and the Security Council that the legislation concerning UNRWA's activities in Israel will officially come into force in 48 hours on January 30. In accordance with applicable Israeli law and following the termination of the provisional agreement, UNRWA must cease its operations and evacuate all premises it operates in Jerusalem, including the properties located in Ma'alot Dafna and Kfar Akeb. The legislation forbids UNRWA from operating within the sovereign territory of the State of Israel and forbids any contact between Israeli officials and UNRWA. Furthermore, UNRWA will be prohibited from maintaining any representative, office, service, or activity within our territory. Israel will terminate all collaboration, communication, and contact with UNRWA or anyone acting on its behalf. This decision was not made lightly, nor was it made quickly. It was not a political decision, it was simply a necessary one. It follows decades of betrayal by an agency that has placed political agendas, neglect, and cover-ups over humanitarian principles. This decision reflects years of efforts to address the grave accusations raised against UNRWA. This decision also reflects the reality of the situation that UNRWA has miserably failed in its mandate, and it has failed the people who were supposed to benefit from its services. More precisely, this decision was driven by UNRWA's constant refusal to address the widespread infiltration of its ranks by Hamas and other terrorist organizations. No sovereign state should facilitate the operations of an agency that threatens its national security and blatantly violates its laws. Israel remains committed to its obligations under international law, and we reaffirm our readiness to cooperate with other UN agencies that are not tainted by terror. Thank you.
Thank you. Ambassador, it's Pamela Falk from U.S. News and World Report. How does Israel see day two? In other words, once this goes into effect, how are schools administered? How is the garbage picked up? What does Israel see as the plan? Maybe the other agencies, and maybe you could go into that a little more. Thank you.
So UNRWA is replaceable. I quote Mr. Lazzarini. He said it in March, and I will repeat it in the Council. And also when you look at the numbers of humanitarian aid that is being provided by UNRWA, it's not a lot. I want to stress that this legislation is about what's happening in Israel. It's not about what's happening in Gaza, in Jordan, in Lebanon, but we will not allow UNRWA to work from Israel. And I think it will be a gradual process until other agencies will step in and will take their positions in Gaza.
Ambassador, the UN heavily uses UNRWA in Gaza and also in the West Bank. You just mentioned that this law prohibits Israel from having any contact with anyone who operates on UNRWA's behalf. So what does this mean for the aid operation, first of all, in Gaza? Will Israel stop communicating altogether with the UN because they're using UNRWA within Gaza?
No, we are communicating with the UN, and on the contrary, I think we will increase cooperation with other agencies that are involved with the humanitarian efforts in Gaza. So, and I think that's what will happen. There will be no vacuum, and we will be there to work with those agencies, and I think that they will have no choice but to continue and to increase their efforts.
Even if they're using UNRWA within Gaza?
So, I don't know what they will be using, but I can tell you that the work of the headquarters of UNRWA in Jerusalem will not continue in 48 hours. What will happen in Gaza? I think it will be a gradual process until you will see other agencies taking over.
And then just one last one. The UNRWA staff in Gaza and the West Bank, are they safe?
Well, they are safe. It's not about us to take care of their safety, but basically, when they are functioning in Israel, they will not be able to stay in Israel under the mandate of UNRWA. So they were traveling to Judea and Samaria and Gaza. It's not up to us to protect them there.
Ambassador Shuda with China Central Television. Just want to confirm from what you said, which means technically speaking, UNRWA is still possible to operate inside Gaza or West Bank, but not in the Israeli soil.
So our legislation cannot take actions about what's happening inside Gaza. We have to be clear about that. I can tell you what we want, but we cannot enforce it and we cannot facilitate it. The operation of UNRWA in Israel is finishing. That's done. What's happening in Gaza, I think it gradually, other agencies will step in.
But yesterday, the spokesperson of the UN Secretary General said that if UNRWA is not possible to operate, it will be Israeli government's responsibility to replace UNRWA. Your reaction?
So I will show the Council in a few minutes the numbers about the real involvement of UNRWA today in the humanitarian aid, and I will prove that it's replaceable. And when you look at the mandate of UNRWA, basically they were supposed to deal with education and healthcare. Unfortunately, look what they have done in Gaza in so many years. Tens of billions of dollars were spent in Gaza, and they don't have proper school system, they don't have proper health system. So what they did with all those billions of dollars?
Ambassador, you didn't really answer my question. I mean, will Israeli government take the responsibility?
No, we have no intention to go back and rule Gaza, and I think it will be other NGOs that will have to increase their activities.
Ambassador, two quick questions. Did you receive any response from the Secretary General regarding the letter that you sent on Friday to him in this regard? And also, you mentioned you're willing to work with other UN agencies, but not with UNRWA, of course. Would there be any process to approve the work, like which agencies are eligible to work in Gaza, who aren't? Like, how are you going to be able to know that?
So first, there are other agencies that we are working with them, World Food Program and others that can take a more important role in this operation. Yes, we have received an answer from the Secretary General. We got last night a 4-page response from him. I will check if we can share it with you, but we are communicating with the UN. Thank you very much.
Thank you.